afternoon, outliers. Happy Friday. Hope you are having the best day, right? We're less than a week until Halloween. My kids are losing their minds. We have at their school, they call it the Boo Bash tonight. So they're stoked because they get to wear their Halloween costumes early. My younger one, he's going as Patrick from SpongeBob in like one of those blow up costumes. And it's hilarious because he looks like actually you took like Patrick out of the SpongeBob show and like set him up in real life. And it looks so good. So I know he is incredibly stoked to do that. Dave, good to see you. Wes, Michael is here. Randy's here. Hey, we have a lot to go through today. We have so many people who participated in answering those questions in the Discord, which I cannot tell you how much I really, really appreciate you. We're going to have a giant pool of people in this week's Weekly Winners Circle. So I am super stoked about that. But let's jump actually over to our very favorite person in the world lately, Kamala, just like Pamela, but with a K. We're going to be talking about how Kamala's insane Joe Rogan cancellation reason, Trump surges in the polls and appears today on the podcast. That's right. Today, Joe Rogan's in Austin doing the, or not Joe Rogan, Trump's in Austin doing the Joe Rogan podcast. Good to see you, Tug. Hey, Michael, glad you're here.
Because I watched like you did yesterday and something hit me pretty hard. This is the second time the Democratic Party has circumvented democracy and chose. Yes, it is.
Remember how Trump is a threat to our democracy, and yet not a single soul on this entire planet of Earth has voted for Kamala Harris to be in the position she's in. Yeah.
Hillary Clinton was chosen, and she.
What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here. It's voting day for me. I'll be voting with 5 other people crammed into my car, including a first-time ever voter who I'll be going to vote for Trump and Hovde here in Wisconsin anyway. But lots of news to cover, including the ridiculous reason Kamala Harris has chosen not to go on to Joe Rogan. And when you see the data behind it, I suppose it'll make a lot of sense. But it is so incredibly embarrassing. It's actually hard to imagine that they actually...
I'm gonna fast forward because I really want to hear this point. Oh, hey, Peter.
Now, interesting new data.
Wait, I missed it?
They've got
no
yesterday, and maybe explains why Kamala Harris quit on Joe Rogan. Young men are leaving the Democratic Party. In 2016, 51%.
Can you blame them? Listen, I know I am me as a white male. I am the problem to the good Democratic Party, right? There is no greater devil than me. I get that. But when you tell all of these people that they're the problem because of the color of their skin, immutable characteristics that shouldn't be a problem, but they are. When you tell all of these people that people like me are the problem, people like me are going to bounce. What do you expect? Hey, Leo.
Of young men identified as at least leaning Democrat. In just 7 years, in 2023, that number dropped to just 39%. Now, does that mean they say they are leaning Republican? I don't know. You know, there are, what's the saying? There are lies, there are damn lies, and then there are statistics. You can't really know if like, well, they're all Republicans, but I think it's certainly not outside of the realm of reasonable possibilities that at least some of them are. And I think that's because the Democrat Party has become the party of beta males. Dudes don't want to be beta males. Some males are beta-esque, and that's actually no problem.
Not this
fine
dude.
if you're not like
beta males over
not
here.
Everyone's like super huge alpha giga Chad. I'm definitely not. Okay. But I don't want to raise my hand and say I'd want to be more of a beta male. Democrats losing young men. The top line says that it highlights President Biden's unpopularity as a key reason Democrats are not connecting with young voters. A New York Times Siena poll shows only 23% of young registered voters view Biden favorably, with 84% believing he is too old to govern effectively. Of course, you see the top line says, while he doesn't foresee a long-term generational alignment, there are concerning signs for Democrats. A recent survey shows that just 47% of Americans identify as Republican and just 46 identify as Democrat. Look, this is really easy to explain. Somehow, I don't know, somehow between when I was in my 20s and now that I'm 40, the Democrats used to be the party of free speech, anti-censorship, anti-big government, anti-big pharma. And suddenly they not only stopped being anti those things, they became pro those things. And thus all the things that attracted to them as me too, being liberal in my teens, 18, 19, 20, are now identified as being Republican. It's so simple. Even a dumb Midwestern guy can see why this has happened.
Right. And so I assume, and I'm trying to fast forward to that point, that she is not going to go on Joe Rogan because she's losing all this, all of the young male support. And so it's like, what's the point, right? That's the only people who listen to that horrible person that Joe Rogan is, right? Who spreads all the misinformations. Hey, Yoren, good to see you. Bob, good afternoon, my friend. Donna, how you doing? Donna's already voted. Have you guys voted?
Because she's a dork. She's a dork.
She's a dork.
She's unlikable. She's authoritarian. She's anti-free speech. She's pro.
Hang on. Is there more to it? I want to find, where's it at?
Times wouldn't endorse Kamala Harris. Their readers turned on them. Vice President Harris will not be appearing on Joe Rogan's podcast. And by the way, in classic Kamala nomenon way, she didn't say it. She sent one of her little lemmings out to do it. We talked with Rogan and his team about the podcast. Unfortunately, it isn't going to work out right now because of, quote, scheduling of this period of the campaign. Didn't Kamala Harris take the day off yesterday and the day before? Yes, she did.
Bro, how can you claim scheduling when she was in Michigan? I think, I could be wrong, but I believe she was in Michigan, Wisconsin, and Minnesota in the same day. You can Google that. But I'm pretty sure, and I mean, I heard that stat that she was in 3 different states in the same day, and I'm like, wow, that's crazy. But yeah, she can't fly over to Austin for a couple hours real quick. Jean-Louis here. Tug says, Rogan would not let her use a teleprompter or Bluetooth earrings. No, Rogan would decimate her. We know that. Rogan would ask follow-up questions because he's great. I was literally just listening to Joe Rogan earlier today. The most recent one with, like, it's still here on my phone, pulled up right now. Sam Tripoli. I was literally listening to Joe Rogan right now. I love people who can have incredible conversations. Like, one of my very favorite things about my wife, in fact, was just how intelligent she is. My wife was a valedictorian of her high school, and super, super smart person. I am emotionally and physically attracted to smart people, right? I love being around smart people because they challenge me, right? My son, here's a great story for you, how smart my 12-year-old son outsmarted me like no one's business, right? We were, my younger son and I went to Boy Scout camp, and we're in a canoe, and they were like, hey, don't go too far because the wind will catch you and take you out in the middle of the lake. We weren't even trying, and the wind caught us and took us right out in the middle of the lake. And so I had to call the scout people, and they literally sent the not the Coast Guard, but like the equivalent of the Coast Guard at the lake to come and rescue us. And I was in the back of the canoe, and my son was in the front, and I'm paddling my heart out, and I'm just trying so hard to turn it because I could not overcome the wind. I'm sitting in the back, he's sitting in the front, and I couldn't physically overcome the wind. And I am going hard as I can. And he's trying as hard as he can, right? He was probably 6 at the time. The lake guard. Yeah, that must be it. Hey, Michael. Thanks, Brian, for that. We call it the lake guard. So park ranger, So we eventually got the lake guard park rangers to come and rescue us. And I was talking to my older son about this, and I was like, I couldn't overcome it. I couldn't turn around. And my older son was like, well, why didn't you just turn around? And I'm like, no, I'm telling you, I couldn't turn the boat around. He's like, no, why didn't you get up, stand up, turn your body around and sit down and then just paddle straight? And I was like, wow. Outsmarted by a 12-year-old. Outsmarted so bad. I felt like a total idiot when my son was like, why didn't you just turn around? So it's a simple answer. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I married the right woman. I married the right woman for sure. So I love smart people. So Kamala Harris is not a smart people, right? She is not a smart person. And one thing that it seems like she might be smart enough to do is not go on Joe Rogan, because she would need a teleprompter. She would need Bluetooth earrings. I mean, there's no chance that she could survive 3 hours on there, right? This one I'm listening to today is 2 hours and 35 minutes. Could you imagine 2 hours and 35 minutes with somebody trying to go back and forth with you? And the only answer you have is, I'm not Joe Biden and Donald Trump is Hitler. That's it. That's it. Right? So, yeah, completely embarrassing. And I understand why she wouldn't want to go on Joe Rogan. Tug says, Yogi Bear? Pretty much. Brian says, go with the trend. Yeah. I can't tell you how many times where, you know, I, in my previous life of sucking at trading, would just get run over by trends. I told you this the other day where I was at the library and I put on a trade just because the market was up and I just got totally demolished. Yeah, going with the trend is way easier. All right, let's jump over into our market analysis though, because we are going to be live all the time, whereas Kamala Harris will never be live. So let's do this. Let's just do this. One thing I found though that works really well, especially gets great audience feedback, is telling my flaws. Right, like I'm just another dude, just like you are. If you're a dude, if you're not, I'm sorry, I'm not just like you. But like I make mistakes. I make lots of mistakes, and I think sharing those mistakes and those lessons that I learned from them are some of the best ways to teach. So I do my very best to give you the best experience that we possibly can. Have you seen Minervini's 5-day 5K course? I have not, but I'll tell you one thing that Minervini and I have talked about. I work directly with Minervini, probably one of the world's best traders, top handful. We're going to be there in a hot minute, by the way. Top handful of world's best traders. Everything he teaches is in his books. He does not teach anything else that's not already in his 2 trading books. So if you're interested in Minervini's courses, get the books. It's not the way that I trade because it's very chart based. I'm telling you, he loves the charts, right? And he goes way back to charts. He goes back to the IBD, like Bob mentioned in his Discord post, which we'll talk about in a minute. He goes back to where he was getting the charts delivered, you know, in papering and going through those, right? And he talks about how he had to go to. I remember he and I talking. He was like, "Yeah, dude, when I went to go place trades, I'd have to physically go over to the broker's office, sign paperwork, and it was, you know, $500 in commissions just to put on the trade." And then he'd be calling him up every day, like, "Hey, where's my stock at?" And I'm sure that broker got really tired of hearing him. But also another story of his is that he was losing on a trade, and rather than calling up the broker to say, "Hey, get out of it," right? He and the broker had a rapport, and he felt like the broker would make fun of him. So he of course he learned from that experience, but he would rather lose dollars from his wealth than pick up the phone and have, you know, Jim Bob on the other end be like, "Oh, picked a bad stock this time, didn't you?" So I get that for sure. Brian says, "I like learning from his discipline or disciple." Well, I'll put it to you this way, Brian. We take what Mark Minervini figured out ages ago, and now we put a new spin on it by using Outlier. Because I got to tell you, this Outlier thing is amazing. This is smart trading made simple. This is where we save time, make money, start winning with less risk together as a team. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm your rich Uncle Chris. I've twice been awarded top 100 people in finance. I've been successfully trading since 2009. I'm a partner with Outlier, and this is my style of trading using the Outlier data. And I call it the golden ticket trading strategy. So how does it work? It's a 4-step process. Outlier monitors how investors are reacting to changing market conditions, news, price movements, and the economy. Number 2, Outlier determines if investors are acting irrationally fearful or greedy and by how much. Number 3, Outlier gives buy and sell signals when these irrational behaviors reach an extreme. And number 4, allowing you to get into the stock before the Outlier move happens. Speaking of Outlier moves, Michael Wales like nails. I got it. Michael Wales posted this one here, how he bought TMUS and rode it all the way up on an Outlier signal, right? All the way up. I got in, I got out, and it continued on without me. And he rode it all the way up and sold it first thing this morning at, it seems like, the very top tick. That is an Outlier move right there. So way to go, dude. That's awesome. Brian says he should fire that broker. Yeah, I'm sure he did ages ago. But yeah, let's go over here real quick. So let's go to today's member highlight and our weekly winner circle. So every week we do what we call the weekly winner circle, where all I ask is that you share your stories of how you're using Outlier and post it in our Discord in the Share Your Big Wins section. We had the most participation I can ever remember in a single week. And we had 12 different people post into there this week, which is so cool. And I really want you to understand how much I appreciate you taking the time, because I know this took some time, right, to answer all of these questions that I had put out there. This is so helpful. Like we are using this internally and for our marketing campaigns and other things. And it's so helpful to hear directly from our end consumers how you're using Outlier and everything else. So thank you so much for taking the time to really fill this out. I mean, we've got so many people who did, right? Like Peter just did, looks like yesterday. Nate did yesterday. Let's see. Dave was talking about some great moves he made. Michael Wales was talking about the TMUS trade he did. Bob just added his inputs a little bit ago. So really, again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you all for doing that. So let me repay you a small token of appreciation. With the weekly winner circle, all you have to do is post into that Discord and not have won last week. If you won last week, Randy, you don't get to win again. Sorry. But we're going to do a random number drawing. And I've already assigned everybody a number because I want to make sure I got everybody. And we're going to do that over here. So it's between 1 and 12, right? Yep. So when I hit this generate button, the next number that comes up will be one of our participants. And it might just very well be you. Let's do this in 3, 2, 1. Number one. Number one is Bob. Hey, way to go, Bob. Congratulations. Congratulations. Bob had just posted as well. Let's do this. Congratulations, Bob. At Bob. You're the winner of this week's Winners Circle. Dude, way to go. That's so cool that you had just posted this like less than 30 minutes ago and get to take home a $10 Amazon gift card. So April will email that to you on Monday. And again, congratulations. Peter says, congrats. Bob says, thanks. Congrats, Bob's from Michael. And let me post that so I don't forget. Very cool. Very cool. All right. And of course, like I say, please be sure to share your stories in the Discord. Let us know how you're using Outlier and let us know how we can improve it, right? The way that we are making this better. In fact, Michael Wales had this to say, which if you don't mind, Michael, I'm going to read it real quick. So Michael says he's the president of his local school board, and he's just wrapping up the largest bond construction project in the history of his district. All our neighbors have built new schools designed by engineers and architects, but we insisted that our students and staff had a seat at the design table, and we have ended up with some of the most innovative and functional buildings in the nation. We have people coming from coast to coast to see what we've done and begin to emulate it. That is to say, user input and feedback make great products. Man, that was really cool. Thank you so much for sharing that. And that's exactly what it's like working here with Outlier, right? We get to work directly with you. We are end users of the product as well. So we're always iterating and trying to make it better. And of course, trying to see where those little signals can be improved upon. So Michael, I really appreciate you sharing that. So of course, don't forget the first rule of Outlier is you tell everybody about Outlier and hit the like button. I know you're already subscribed, so do me a favor, hit the like button. That way YouTube tells everybody as well. Now let's get to the market. We want to see the 10 over the 20, price over the 50 on the SPY, which we still have, although this is a bit concerning here. If you're a long holder, that is concerning, right? We've got 3 straight days under the 10 EMA. When's the last time we had that? Last time we had 3 straight days under the 10 EMA was when we had a really strong sell-off here. We could go from this high to this low, about 4.5% in the span of a few days. I'm not saying we're in crash mode, but what I'm saying is I'm in cautious mode, right? But we still have the 10 over the 20, price over the 50. So everything is pointing north at the moment. We go to the watch list here in Outlier, and we can see 15 new stocks on the bull list today, 15 new buy signals. but we have 52 new sell signals. In fact, this was where the market breadth indicator was developed, because Mahesh and I independently were noticing these numbers, right? And I specifically, this is how it came about, was I emailed Mahesh and I said, Mahesh, I want to see how many stocks are on the bull list versus bear list every single day. I want to know what that total is, because I'm seeing more and more stocks go over to the bear list, and the signals we're taking are getting worse and worse. And so he provided me that data. And so I basically built this indicator here that you see right here. And what I observed was when it gets really low or really high, those are times where a pullback is almost imminent, right? But then also it's super cyclical, right? I mean, it's like waves. Isn't that interesting? So this is the percent of stocks on the bull list, and with a 10 EMA, a 10 exponential moving average following it. So I like to use these crossover points as when I'm going to be bullish or bearish. In this case, I'm bearish because, as we just talked about, 52 new stocks on the bear list today, 52 new sell signals. That's not quite a bullish sign, right? More and more sell signals are going to be pushing the market lower and lower. So I will not be trading today because while the market is still trending higher, market breadth is getting weaker. And so that's what I like to call a weak trend, right? When they are in sync, when the market trend is pushing higher, market breadth is pushing higher, that is a very strong trend. When you see the divergence, I almost said it in a text away, divergence, when you see the divergence between the two, that's a very weak trend. And I don't trade weak trends, and you shouldn't either. So I won't be putting any trades on today. However, I do want to continue on working on New Trader, Rich Trader, right? This is a little series that we're going to be putting together. I think I'll probably make a long video out of this and then title it New Trader, Rich Trader. I don't know, something like that. I don't do the editing. I just do the talking. So this is one of my all-time favorite books. If I could give you a list of 5 books to pick, this would be on that list. In fact, let me go ahead and give you that list of 5 books. As you know, I sit at home in my library with a green screen behind me. I have probably 1,000 books in here, maybe more. I am a bibliophile. That's the word. I'll give you my 5 favorite books. So Complete Turtle Trader, got to get that one. $10. All of these are around $10. New Trader, Rich Trader. This trend following, not this trend following. By the way, I've had a chance to talk with Michael Covell, and personally, I feel like this book is not as good as this book. This book was the best $9.99 I ever spent my entire life. This is the, I'll tell you which edition it is. I believe it's 2004 edition. Yeah. If you can find the 2004 edition, these are textbooks, by the way, for trading. If you can find the 2004 edition, significantly better than the 2017 edition, just saying. So that's 3. So you got those. Then Trading in the Zone, which we covered the other day with Mark Douglas. We went into a long episode with him. Let me see what else. If I had to pick of my books, what would it be? Oh, this is tough. Okay, I'll give it 6. How I Made $2 Million in the Stock Market by Nicholas Darvis. Also co-written by Steve Burns. Steve Burns, who wrote New Trader, Rich Trader. And then this one here, Market Wizards. This gives you oh, I just turned to Minervini on that particular page. This, in my opinion, is one of those books where it's like, oh, it really can, you really can do it, right? And Minervini is a great reference point as well, because he came from, I wouldn't say poverty, but I would definitely say lower middle class. And I mean, dude's like wealthy beyond belief. But yeah, those would be the books I would pick up. Give me a second here while I put everything back. And then I teleport back to the Outlier Global Head. 3, 2, 1. There we go. Look at that. Just in the instant. But yeah, this one here. Yeah. So this is one of the things I'm talking about with Minervini. Great dude, like crazy sweet dude. But He says in here, one of the keys to his success is no vacations, 6-day work weeks, and 14-hour work days. His reply was, my desire to be the best trader is greater than my desire to take a break. I don't like to get out of the swing. Listen, I can't imagine that being my lifestyle. That sounds pretty miserable, honestly. But like I say, dude loves staring at charts. That's his jam. Just not my jam. I would rather let technology do it for me, and I just click and go. Right. Michael says that's awesome. Dave says congratulations. Michael says it's divergence like Pam Ella. Whatever, dude. I live in Texas. I can say divergence, whatever I want. Thanks for the help this week, Dave. Yes, Dave has been awesome. All right, so getting back over to new trader, rich trader. Click the buttons here. Go to this one. Okay, let's do this. So we're on chapter 2. New traders make wrong decisions because of stress. Rich traders can manage stress. Now, I've said this before, but the best way to manage stress is position sizing, right? When you position size in a way that you've already built in volatility, which we do every day, right? I've even made a spreadsheet for you, so it's super simple. When you position size based on volatility, you're not buying 100 of the same thing, right? You're not buying 100 shares or 100 contracts or 100 anything of Coke. You're not buying 100 contracts of Coke and 100 contracts of Tesla and expecting the same outcome. No, because you're taking significantly more risk with Tesla. Tesla moves a lot more than Coke does. But when you position size correctly, you can say, okay, I only want to risk 5% of my account. And I might have to trade 5 contracts of Tesla and 60 contracts of Coke to get the same percentage of risk. When you do that, you don't stress, right? I know I've locked in this much risk to my portfolio, and hopefully it works out. But if it doesn't, it's not a big deal, right? When you position size correctly, trading doesn't become stressful at all. I mean, it can be fun and it can be frustrating, but it doesn't become like, oh no, those moments, right? We've all had those. I remember putting my son to bed one night, coming out of his room, and I was like, oh my God, if the market crashes tomorrow, I'm so freaking screwed, right? Nobody wants those. Nobody wants those moments. And then the book goes on to say, this was entirely different from paper trading and simulations, right? Everybody knows how to paper trade, but once they start trading for real, all those plans get thrown right out the window. This was real money, his money. Every cent came from his blood, sweat, and tears. And to have $250, give me a break. To have $250 snatched away like that felt like he had been robbed. I bet Tesla shorts are feeling pretty robbed right now. Hang on, where'd it go? Why wasn't it going the way he planned? The pressure, the stress, the fear he was feeling was much worse than he had anticipated, especially for such a small drop in price. Most stress comes from unknown variables or uncontrolled emotions, fear of loss, uncertainty of the market trend, or the need to make money. Sometimes a trader's ego gets wrapped up in a trade with their self-worth tied to whether or not they make money. Dude, it's funny that I highlighted that years ago because, I mean, just like everyone else, right? I've had losing trades, and I would really tie up my personal net worth, my self-value, and what balance I had in my trading account, right? If I was doing well, if I saw another zero in my account, I'm like, oh, dude, I'm such a genius. I'm so smart. I'm so handsome. My wife loves me so much, right? All these great things. But if I'm losing, it's like, oh, just utter depression. It's like, how could I have done this? Why did you do this? I don't know how many times I said to myself, how could you do this again, Chris? I don't know how many times I said that to myself. So you've really got to separate. And this is why I mentioned yesterday, turning off the P&L, right? Just focusing on the execution. And you know when you're winning and you know when you're losing, right? But turning off the P&L, focusing on, is this going the way I want? Sweet. I'm going to let it run until I get my exit signal. Is this going the way I want? No. Well, do I have an exit signal? Not yet, but I'm getting close. And once you get that exit signal, just go, right? But I can't stress enough the fact that it's all about position sizing. You fix your position sizing, you fix your trading. It's just the truth. Before you place a trade, you need to have an exit strategy of how, when, and why you will take profits and what your stop loss will be. Kind of sounds like what we do every single day, right? It's so much, and that's one of the reasons why I go through so much time to go through these trades, right? Let's talk about BX, right? BX was a loser the other day, whatever, right? I had my exit strategy. I have my exit strategy written the frick down, right? You can't tell me that I didn't follow my strategy when I'm looking at it and I'm looking at the stock and I'm like, okay, let's just see what happens. And then it closes right above your half ATR. You're obligated at that point to keep the trade. That's something Larry Hite talked to me about. So one of the original market wizards, first $1 billion hedge fund manager, he was like, listen, if you've set up your trade and if everything sets up and you don't take it, you have invalidated your trading model. Everything that you've been working on is moot point, because it doesn't matter if you can't execute the plan. And the same is true if you don't take it off, right? If you're scared to lose and you don't take it off, it's like everything you've done, set up your plan for this exact moment. And then if you don't execute it to close or to open or whatever, just throw it out the window. It means nothing. So that's one of the really important things as a trader. And that's why I say it separates the best from the rest, is having that exit strategy as well as the entry strategy. You have to plan to sell your stock at a specific percentage loss, price support breach, or trend change, right? All of which we include. If your stress level is high after you have a trading plan, then you're either trading too big or you don't have faith in your system. If you know your system is a winner over time, then try cutting your position size in half. And if trading 1,000 shares stresses you out, try trading 500, right? If it's stressing you out, try cutting it down in half. My position size right now is 7%. It's honestly one of the biggest I've ever had, if not the biggest. But if I was stressed out by it, I would cut it down. I would cut it down to 5. And if that was still not working for me, I would cut it down even more. Right. And if your account's not big enough to have those sizes of positions on, that's okay. But you guys got to, I mean, if you can only afford one contract, I get this. I totally get this. We've all been there. I was there. Don't think I wasn't. If you can only afford one contract, each contract is that much more important, right? So those are the ones where you want to make sure the losers are as small as you can, right? You may even take smaller risk. If you can only afford one contract, you don't want to put all of your eggs in the one basket and just set that basket on fire, right? You want to make sure you're taking as little losses as possible and letting those winners run as far as they can. So I need to make sure that I have a system to follow, design a trading plan that I'm comfortable with trading, and I need to test my system to make sure it's a winner. This is also one of the reasons why I'm so data-driven, right? Why I went over the last 2 years of data, not just in my trading, but trying to like optimize where that would be. And, now I have data to back up that I've got, 81% win rate when the master key is working. Over 2 years of data, I found this. So I'm like, I want an entire year of trading to make that happen. But it was along the losers that taught me a lot of those issues, right? In fact, Leo Wargs was the one who pointed out, hey, why don't you take a look at market breadth? That was the very last key in the master key, the last part of the master key. That made all the difference. So you need to design a trading plan that you're comfortable with, test your system to make sure it's a winner. So I'll have faith in your strategy. And if I still feel too much pressure, I can decrease my trading size until I'm comfortable. Yes, exactly. You need to have a plan to control your outcome of the things you can't control, like having a stop loss, right? Control the things you can't control, like having a stop loss. There's two ways to look at this. Having a stop loss on your trade, right? Having a stop loss on your trade and also position sizing correctly puts a stop on your portfolio risk, and it puts a stop on this on the stock risk, right? Because if you only put in 10% of your account, whatever, you can only lose maximum 10% of your account. That is a stop loss to your account. But if you put a 10%, my math is going to be way off. But let's say you put in a stop on this particular stock to only go down 10%, then that's 10% of 10%, which makes 1%. Then you have a strategy that's going to work. Then you have a strategy that'll last. trailing stops, position sizing, timing, technical indicators. You need to be comfortable with the volatility of the stock you're trading. Traders need a trading style that's compatible with their personality. If you're stressed out of your mind, then your lack of faith in your system or lack of confidence or abilities, if you're stressed out of your mind, then your lack of faith in your system or your lack of confidence in your knowledge or abilities are likely the cause. Alternatively, your position size may be too large for your peace of mind. If you experience high levels of stress during trading, either your position size is too large or you don't have enough confidence in your system. To reduce stress, lower your positions, or do more testing on your system. Trading stress is typically caused by one of two things. I bet you can guess what it is. Not knowing what to do or knowing what to do and being too afraid to do it. It's kind of like what I was talking about, right? Where if everything sets up and you don't take your plan, you have invalidated your model. Only risk 1% of your total trading capital per trade using stop losses. Well, clearly, I do a little bit more than that. Using stop losses and proper position sizing. Proper position sizing limits the emotional impact of a single trade. That's what I'm talking about, right? You've got to limit your position sizing so you limit the emotional aspect of it, right? Each trade is only the next one of 100. If you keep this in mind, you will give a completely different trading perspective. And remember, if you don't know what to do, don't do anything. If you don't know what to do, don't trade. That's okay too. Sitting on the sidelines, what we're doing like right now, is a very viable trade. Brent says, depends on your goals. He could have had worse habits. Yeah, he absolutely could have had worse habits. So that's going to wrap it for today. I hope this is all useful for you. And I want you to really take this on and share this with as many people as possible, right? We at Outlier are doing our very best to bring you the world's best AI stock trading assistant. We don't take that lightly, right? And we want to, let you know how much we appreciate you. Thank you so much for being an Outlier. We couldn't do this without you. We want to pay you back every single day by helping you save time, make money, and start winning with less risk together as a team. Don't forget, we're increasing prices again, if you can believe that. Next Friday, prices go up. So if you want to lock in $329 for the year, that's just 90 cents a day. Go grab your annual plan. Let us know in the Discord if you need anything. And the first rule of Outlier is you tell everybody about Outlier and buy the books that we talk about on Outlier, like Randy just did. Very cool. Randy probably just did using that gift card that he won on Amazon last week. Michael says, beginner question. Where can I find the tutorials for using and understanding the charts, screens, and symbols shared? Okay. I would recommend going into our, what is this called? Into the Discord, and then going over here to the VIP Investors Toolkit. In here, you're going to find all the resources you could ever want. I would recommend starting with the Ultimate Trading Power Pack. When you click this link, it's going to take you to a Google Drive document or a Google Drive, and go through lesson 1 through 15. And that is my strategy explained in as much detail as I could possibly give you. We did these live in the trading room, and I saved these so that if we ever need to reference it, that's the place to get it. So that's the place to go, my friend Michael. Thanks so much for coming today. I'm glad to see you here. Be sure to hit the like button if you haven't done so already. I know you're already subscribed, but it tells YouTube to tell other people as well. And of course, have an incredible, fantastic weekend. And if you haven't voted, daggum, go vote right now. Have a great weekend. I'll see you back here on Monday. Talk soon.